What's going on, everybody? Spooky here, back with another video. Basically, this video is going to be a recording from a free coaching session that I did with Ryan yesterday. And I just want you guys to let me know what you think. For example, do you think I should edit down this video? Do you just want it as is, like, just completely raw? What do you like and dislike about the video? Please let me know in the comments. I'm probably going to continue releasing these sessions if it goes well, but obviously you can let me know if you guys don't want them, and I can just go, stay consistent with my other type of video. The next thing I wanted to say is, if you're interested in doing something like this, free coaching, I'm taking 2 more people. And basically, I'm giving 1 hour coaching session once a week for 4 weeks. So if you're interested in that, you can send me an email at kramer@spookypoker.com. I'll leave that in the description, but it should be fairly easy to spell. Lastly, I just want to say, if you want to show support for my channel, all I ask is that you drop a like and possibly a comment, especially on this video, because I would like to know what you guys think of this kind of video. And then the last thing you could do is, if you plan on signing up for a new poker site such as America's Card Room, ACR, I would appreciate if you went through my links, as well as if you intend to buy PokerTracker, I would also appreciate if you went through my link as well. So all those links, as well as my email, are in the description below. And so enjoy the video. Again, just let me know what you like or dislike about it, and I will be back this week with another regular video that I usually publish. Thanks for watching. Hey Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me turn it up. I couldn't get my headphones to work, so hopefully does this sound alright?
Yeah, it sounds fine.
Alright, sweet.
Where are you from? The States?
Henderson, Kentucky.
Okay.
So, northwestern Kentucky. Yeah.
Gotcha. I used to do marketing work for a CBD company in Kentucky, but that's my only association with Kentucky.
We got a CBD place in Henderson, like a farm and company and stuff.
What's the name of it?
It's like Henderson CBD.
Oh, yeah, that's not them.
They're kind of small.
Yeah, got you. All right, well, real quick, I wanted to ask, I don't know if I'm going to... Okay, well, first of all, I wanted to ask if I have your permission to record this and possibly use it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. Yeah, record anything you need.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you that real quick. So I guess the next thing is, what would, like, an ideal coaching situation be for you? Like, if the next 30 minutes or an hour went perfectly, how would that go for you?
Well, I still feel like I'm missing a lot of, I feel like I have the basics of fundamentals, but not quite all the way there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd really like to, strengthen my game as far as, reviewing fundamentals, and then also, things off the table, maybe some bankroll stuff, or, some, anti-tilt, because I've been playing, but I got a lot of gaps that I need to fill.
Sure.
Just kind of a little bit of everything.
Okay, definitely. So how long have you been playing?
I've been into it about 2 years, but probably the last 6 months I've really sat down and tried hard to study and really play. Start paying attention to my what I'm doing, not gambling for fun, but actually.
Sure. Try to take it seriously. Try to improve. And how much, how often during the week are you playing? 10, 20, 30 hours?
I've been playing quite a bit lately. I'm trying to cut back because I think I'm playing too much while I'm tilting. So
Yeah.
actually, one of your videos, I've been trying to do that 30 minutes thing, so I'll sit down
Oh, yeah.
30 minutes.
Dude, well, just to quickly interject, it's that is one of the biggest traps of poker and trying to be productive. It's you tell yourself I'm playing because I'm supposed to be making money, but it's at the same time you're just indulging in this strong negative emotion, and it's not even it's not even enjoyable, and you're losing money oftentimes. I just want to say, like, I know that feeling.
It's like that kind of, you just put that out a couple of days ago, but I mean, I wish I would have seen it sooner, because I started thinking about like when I'm losing most of my money, it's when I'm doing like a 3-hour session. So I'll be solid for the first 30 minutes to an hour, and I get used to that feeling of doing good, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm calling. I know the dude has a flush, but I'm still calling it off.
It's like, I can't believe it got there again. Crack my aces again.
Yeah. It's like situations I know. If I were fresher, I wouldn't be so willing just to click the call button, or click the jam button,
Yeah.
So that's what I've been trying to do, is stick around. And even I'll take 30 minutes. If I still want to play, I'll take like 10 minutes off, play 30 minutes again.
And so since watching that video, do you feel like that's helped?
Yeah, I do, because I feel like the first 30 minutes to an hour was where I was making most of my good plays. So I feel like it's prevented me from losing a couple buy-ins. You know, I'm going up $10 in the first 30 minutes, and I might miss out on a little bit, but I feel like I'm not wasting buy-ins like I was before.
Great.
That's helped me the past few days.
Great. I'm really glad to hear that. Okay, so I guess that kind of answers like a lot of preliminary questions. Are you playing on ACR?
I play on Bet Online.
Okay,
So,
I have not played on there. Maybe I should check it
I
out.
was looking at ACR, but everything's already set up on Bet Online, and I love playing off my phone. And they have like a really good mobile platform.
Okay.
So, that's why I've been there, but I'd be willing to try out ACR if you think that.
Well, I mean, if you like the platform, then by all means, just keep playing on that. Of course, if you want to play on ACR and you use my link, I'll get paid, but you don't have to do it. Like, by all means, just if you like playing on that, just play on that. But okay, so I guess so it sounds like you just have like some general questions, nothing like. Well, I guess, do you have any hands you want to look at? That's the most concrete way I can help you, of course.
Yeah, I don't right now. If we do this again, I'll definitely save some more hands because I figured this first time would be more talk about big picture stuff. And
Fair.
like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll start saving it. The problem is, because I've been playing off my phone, I can't use like PokerTracker or things like that. I pretty much keep all my stats manually with like apps and stuff. So yeah, I'll start saving. Like, I pretty much, if I see an interesting hand, I go back and screen record it, and then.
Okay, I mean, if you send me those recordings, we can just do that. Like, I can work with that. Okay. So yeah, ideally, these are going to be like 30-minute to 1-hour sessions. So we can look at somewhere between 5 and 10 hands. So what I would like you to do is you make sure that you only send hands. I mean, based on what we've already talked about, like in terms of tilt and everything, it sounds like you've got a grasp on that. But I would just say the ideal way to use my knowledge is to like you play the hands to the best of your ability, and then once you start getting outside of your understanding, your realm of understanding, that's where I can come in and kind of like point you in the right direction. So I would just say it's like any hands where you feel like you get lost and you truly don't know what to do would be like a perfect hand. And then also, I guess I should also try to we should probably talk about like opening ranges. So actually, we should talk about opening ranges, but at the same time, we don't have to do that right now. What I'd rather do is you just ask me any questions that you have, and then we'll go from there.
So I know one big week that I feel like is outside, like what you said, outside my realm, where I have trouble grasping, is like playing low pocket pairs, like pocket twos through like sevens.
Yeah.
I feel like I've played them, and sometimes I win huge pots, and then I feel like sometimes I'm playing, I think I'm ahead, and I'm not. Like, I get lost a lot when I'm playing like low pocket pairs. Like, I have trouble knowing when to fold and when to continue.
Gotcha. Totally fair question. I struggled with that for a long time. So are you playing full ring? Are you playing six max?
I kind of play whatever lot of 6-mats.
Okay.
But the full rings seem to be and on Bet Online, the full rings seem to be covered with like dudes that are like the grinders.
Oh,
like,
really?
I've found more difficult players in the full game.
Oh.
I think they're like multi-tabling a lot, so that's like
Just,
the better tables.
yeah.
That's just my guess. But
Well,
I've noticed more difficult players now.
So I would say my theory on that is because as a on and off grinder, I find the most fish in the full ring because that's what like the fish are comfortable playing with. So that's probably other grinders have come to the same conclusion. But given that, you still might come across a lot of fish. Obviously, you're running into more difficult opponents, but you're also running into more fish. So I guess when you're playing on Bet Online, can you look at who's at the table and decide to play there or not?
Yes. Yeah.
So do you keep track, like mentally, do you keep track of like, oh, I saw this guy yesterday, he was tough, or like I'm sure that happens naturally, right?
Yeah, what I've been using, I watched your color coding video, and I've started color coding after that, but I do it a little different. So they offer like 8 different colors I can use. So I kind of been just color coding them based on what level. So if I think they're better than me, it'll be like the first 4 colors. If I think they're worse than me, it's the last 4, and then how much better or worse I kind of. So I do table select a little bit, but yeah, I probably need to focus a little more on it.
Well, so I'll just respond to that. Do you know Barry Greenstein?
No, I don't.
So he's like one of the old heads of poker. Like he came up like he's older than like Phil Ivey, but like they kind of came up in that same area of like 1990s and early 2000s. But he had a saying which was like, you can make a very good living in poker as long as you're better than the rest of the people at the table or something like that. It's like he said like, I was never a great poker player, but I just beat the people. I was better than the people I played with. And so there's a bit of a conflict because on one hand you should try to improve and you should play with people that are better than you, but on the other hand you want to consistently make money so that you continue to feel motivated. Obviously we all want to make money, but given that, it's really just going to come down to how quickly you want to improve. Like if you just want to like move up, keep getting better, then yeah, maybe you should grind with those guys. But I mean, honestly, I would recommend just like keeping track of fish and like try to remember their names and just try it, because there's regular fish on sites. Like they'll log in after work every day and just like blow $50, and like that's a very common thing at micro stakes, is just like these people that they know they're gonna lose, but they're just like, I just want to unwind. That's just why a lot of people play poker. So anyway, it's our job to accommodate them. We'll play with them and we'll take their money. But yeah, so I recommend maybe putting a little more thought into your table selection, especially if you have like a lot of tables to choose from. Don't just click on the first one. In fact, you can watch my video again if you want. But basically, if you can sort, can you sort tables by like average pot, for example?
No, but there's usually like they'll list like every open table, so I can go through and look, and they'll be like between 2 and 6 tables for a given size and limits, and then I'll go through and just kind of click on them and look. But they don't have like a sort option.
Okay. Well, in that case, I guess you're like as you said, outside of the table or off the table, it's like one skill that you could develop that will make you a lot more money is just developing this player selection ideology. So I would say, I mean, this isn't something I consciously do, but I do keep track of fish's name, like fish's names. I don't know that already, but like the names of fish. And it's like, if I see them at a table, well, I said this in the video too, is if I see maniacs at the table, I'm going to sit with them because they put a lot of money in the pot and they put it in bad. So that's always going to be a way to make money in poker. Just one more quick example, just because I'm a big poker fan in general. Do you know Rick Solomon?
I've I've heard of him.
He's on those. Well, if you spend, well, yeah, you obviously spend some time on YouTube because you saw my channel. But if you go to Poker Go, their YouTube channel, he's on there, and all he does is play like these $1 million buy-ins, and he'll just play with like really bad poker players, and it's like that's how you can make money in poker. Like, you don't have to be the best. Like, dude, he had some guy bluff off $1 million, like maybe it was 500 grand or $1 million bucks. It was just like, and he had like the nut flush. Rick Solomon had the nut flush, and the other guy was just like barreling air. It was just like so beautiful. But you know, that's who we want to play with. It's like I said, you do want to keep improving, but you do want to keep making money. You want to stay happy playing poker. You want to keep increasing your bankroll. So you got to find that balance for sure. So what's your next question?
I just had a question ready to ask you. Just so table selection, you said focus on that a little bit. Limits to play at. I've noticed, like, for a while, because the lowest limit they have on Bet Online is 5 cent, 10 cent.
Okay.
And I've noticed that I've had the most difficulty there. So I made the mistake of jumping up to like the no limit 50 and lost a bunch. And I felt like I was playing better, but I couldn't afford the
variance, the swings.
So I dropped back down to 10, had more trouble, and now I've been playing 25 NL, and I've been feeling better. My bankroll can't quite support it, but it's been fine for now. Like, do you have any reason why the 10 NL is like extremely difficult, but 25 NL seems doable?
Well, yeah, no, I definitely understand that concept. In my bankroll management video, at the end of it, I talked about that concept of like, I moved up to like last year when I was, or 2019 when I was grinding, I moved up to 50 NL, and it was like way easier than 25 NL. So it's like, that's definitely a thing that happens. Really just comes down to understanding of the type of player that you're playing against. So it's like, you probably just have a very strong understanding of the skill level at 25 NL. And maybe even 50 NL. Like, maybe like your skill level is really good for that. And then the type of skill that you need to beat those lower stakes is not very developed in your poker repertoire. Does that make sense? So it's like, there's a lot of different ways to beat poker. You can beat it by playing tighter than other people. You can beat it by playing more aggressive than other people. So it's like, whatever your style is that you're currently good at is going to be best suited for those limits. But, you know, if your role can't handle it, I would say to become a more complete poker player, which is what you should strive to do, is you should learn how to crush 10 and L. That's my honest recommendation. Unless
you would say go back and focus on beating 10 and L.
Yeah. Yeah, because what you want as a poker player, you want to be a master at what you're doing. Like, you don't want to just be like, I don't know what your goal with poker is, but like, if you're going to play it, you might as well become the best player you can be. And you should also it's also just like the best bankroll management to work at 10 and L for now. So it's like, not only are you like preserving your bankroll, but you're also just becoming a better player by learning why you can't beat 10 and L. I guess that's the easiest way to put all of what I'm saying together, is like, you have to figure out why can I not beat 10 and L? What's going on? Why am I bad? And once you learn the answers to those questions, it will just expand your poker knowledge. You'll just become a better player. So, I definitely recommend sticking to 10.
Yeah. I'll try that. I'll go back to that then. It just sucks because I feel more confident at 25, but I just know my bankroll is waiting for that variance to hit.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, like I said, in that, I don't think I mentioned numbers, but when I moved up to 50 NL last year or whatever that was, it was like, I got it in with like 90% equity, like for 200 big blinds, like 5 hands in a row, and just lost all of them. And it's just like, so that was like, a $500 swing down with like 90% equity is like, it happens, man.
Yeah, it's brutal, especially trying to build the bankroll. But you said something about ranges, but I also like
Yeah.
I cool time about that now.
Yeah.
Back whenever I was trying 10 and L, I tried basically like every style I could think of for opening, like playing like tight and aggressive. I even tried playing like 3 tables and playing broadways. I tried that for a day just to see, because I was getting frustrated with getting beat by cards I shouldn't, and that didn't work out. So I tried looser strategies, tighter strategies, and at 10 and L, I found that my best strategy was playing super tight, and at 25, I would do better than how I did at 10 and L, but I was playing a much looser strategy. But I don't know how loose is too loose, or like how to define my range.
I hear what you're saying. So I think that for you to become a better poker player, you have to think about, you have to try to, I don't even know how you should do, I don't know how to go about doing this, and this is like why I'm trying to get better at coaching as well. But right now you know how to play like decent poker, but your fundamentals are not that strong. And so what that means is like, I think just to start off, you just have to think about ranges better, which is like such a generic statement. I know that doesn't really mean anything, but in terms of thinking about like, oh, I'm only playing broadways or X, Y, or Z. Oh wait, we're going to talk about pocket pairs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so that's something we can definitely work on, is just ranges, and specifically pre-flop ranges. So the last guy I was just talking to sent me this link. Let me see if I'm gonna send this to you and see if it works. No, that probably wouldn't be it. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. You know what? I bet you Doug Polk's website. Okay, 6 max opening range. I bet you Doug Polk, yeah, Upswing has it. Okay. So go to just Google search real quick, 6 max opening range.
Say it was an upswing.
Yeah, it should be the first result.
I think I'm here.
And then if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see 5 charts.
Yep.
Okay, so then make sure that you can see those easily. I zoomed in on my screen so I could see them easily. Okay, so there's 5 positions. Why is it 5? Shouldn't it be 6? Why is this 5? Oh, small blind, button. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, man. I'm gonna send you a link after this, and it's the same concept, but it's better explained. But just to try to give you a broad overview of how you should be thinking about poker, is that if you look at this chart, like, it's still relevant. Aces are obviously the strongest hand, and then some of the weakest hands are going to be like 2-3 offsuit, 7 deuce offsuit, right? These are all the really bad hands in the potential ranges. Basically, what you should be doing is thinking about having a defined range, so you're always making for the most part, you're always making the same decision, because based on what you told me about, like I said, like the strategy that you're it's okay. First of all, I want to give you like a compliment. It's good that you're trying to implement different strategies. I don't want to make it sound like I'm like talking down or anything, because it's good that you're thinking about this. But there's just a better way to think about it, which is like thinking in terms of hand strength and positioning. So, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, like playing different hands from different positions. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, so for example, it's like it would be easier if I said, like, if you see king queen under the gun in a 6-max, what do you do with it, and why?
King queen off.
Yeah.
Probably call it flat call.
Okay, well that.
Well, if I were, what I'd honestly probably do would be flat call with king queen.
Okay, so that is definitely a mistake.
Yeah, this is why I'm here.
Okay, good. So, man, this is my lack of experience coaching. This is absolutely nothing like wrong you're doing or anything, but it's like the reason I'm like taking.
I'll tell you, man. I tutor for math and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I get learning how to.
Yeah,
transmit information better. So
okay, great. Thank you for understanding that.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll just tell you, first of all, I guess one lesson that I can tell you right now that is going to improve your win rate is that you should not be calling under the gun ever. And the reason for that is because, would you agree that you should only play strong hands under the gun?
Yeah.
Like,
first position.
Yeah. Would you ever play 5-6 offsuit under the gun?
No.
Okay. And so basically, the reason, like, since we've come to that conclusion, we can conclude that we're only playing strong hands, and if you're only playing strong hands, you want to keep other weak hands out of the pot, and which means you should always come in with a raise and never flat under the gun. So, depending on your understanding of poker, that may have gone right over your head, or maybe you didn't, I don't know. But that's one thing I can tell you for sure is, like, you need to stop flatting under the gun. The only time I recommend flatting in early position is if you're balancing like a range for aces, and like it's at a wild table where people like raise, call, like a crazy table, and then you have aces and you bomb it. But that's like literally the only time you should be flatting in early position. So that's one lesson that's like immediately going to improve your win rate. Now there's going to be a learning period where you learn how to play differently, where you might start losing, but trust me, you have to be raising king queen off like under the gun in this instance.
So if I were what if I were on the button? So single raise pot. I don't know. Let's say under the gun raises, and I'm on the button with king queen off. Would I still raise, or would I flat down?
That is a situation where you have to know information about the player. So if you're playing Action Jackson, who always raises under the gun, he'll raise queen 6 suited under the gun, then you can profitably raise king queen offsuit. But if you're playing someone who only plays like ace queen plus under the gun, then you probably just fold it. King queen offsuit.
I guess that goes back to what we were saying, is if they're playing properly from early position, they should be playing stronger hands than. So king queen's kind of towards the bottom of the under the gun range. Or not the bottom,
it's closer to the bottom than, say, pocket queens and up. It's closer to the bottom for sure. So, what I'm gonna try to help you do is kind of overhaul your fundamental thinking of poker, because I know that you've got knowledge if you're able to beat the game sometimes. Obviously, you've got some things that you're doing right, but if you take a better approach to it, you can just become so much better and like improve your thinking, and it's just going to be so much easier. But it will definitely take some work because it's just a different way to think about things. It's going to take some time. So what do you think about that? Is there any questions or objections or anything?
Sounds good to me. One more thing I wanted to let you know though about I have been studying off the table with DTO. You know about the DTO app and stuff. GTO
or DTO?
Well, it's a GTO solver, but it's DTO is the brand. It's like a mobile app. Dominic Beach, it's his company.
Okay.
And what it does is it's a really cool app, but it just tells you what the right decision is to make in a certain spot. But the problem is I have no explanation about it. So I was wondering if I screen record some of those hands that I find interesting and don't know why they work, or if you willing to break some of those down, or I don't know how into GTO at all you are, but
no, well, yeah, I mean, great question. Basically what I want is I just want any hands that you play and you have a thought process that I can look at and I can tell you why your thought process is good or bad. So if it's off of the solver, that's fine. I think I would prefer that it's just a real cash game, but if you have if you're very interested in a hand and you're just I really want to know a better opinion about this situation, that's fine. You can send me one of these hands, but ideally we're just looking at your cash games. But I'll take a look at the app and let you know what I think about it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you would know better than me, but it seems pretty cool, and it's just like a solver. I'm not good enough to decide whether I want to go towards GTO or that whole argument.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel with my low level of fundamentals, it tells me what correct decisions are. So I feel I've picked up a few good things from it, but there's a lot of where I don't have an explanation. So sometimes it's difficult using it to know why anything is correct.
Well, you said something about GTO versus exploitative is the argument. I would say it sounds like you've been playing exploitative and you probably just try to pick up on habits of individual players. And when you play like that, you can play king queen limp under the gun. You can do that. But I think if you're playing online, that's just you just don't have enough information. You could play something like that in live because you can see who you're playing against. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. I just wanted to say GTO versus exploitative. You're playing a weird combination of both at low levels. It's unfortunately it's not a clear answer. But what I can say is you need to play a fundamentally sound GTO strategy. So it's you need to have an outline of how you're playing, because for example you've tried all these different strategies, but it's not boxed in by any limitations. You can try any strategy based on what you've told me. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at it with confinements, which means is you can tweak things. It's going to be more of a machine than what you're currently doing, which is probably just learning in all sorts of different directions of I tried this and I learned this. But anyway, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a solid foundation of GTO fundamentals, but we're also going to be playing a lot of exploitative because that's how you really beat the micros. Which, unfortunately, that's not a very clear answer, but it is what we're going to be doing. And I'm trying to think. I might rewatch my initial video about how to beat the micros. I assume that's how you found me.
Yeah.
I might say I don't even remember everything. That was a few months ago that I made that video, so I'm not even sure, but. For example, I'll just give a quick example because I think that's easier to understand. For example, we're gonna have a clear opening range. We're gonna have something to start off with, which is gonna be this chart, and we're gonna stick to this chart. But then, for example, we're gonna be playing not GTO when a fish like shoves all in on the river on a paired board after we make our flush. It's like sometimes, even though you have to call a certain percent of time according to GTO, like at the micros nobody shoves without the nuts pretty much, and it's just like you pick up on things like that. But yeah, it's gonna be a weird combination, but it works. Yeah. Yeah.
So this range that or you said you would send me.
Yeah,
list, right?
it's another resource that the last guy sent me. It's from. It's not even worth it. I'll just grab it for you and send it to you. But basically, what I want you to do is I'm gonna give you this resource. I'm gonna give you this little book thing. It's a PDF, and what I want you to do is to play like 1 or 2 tables of 5NL or 10NL. I mean. And you're going to only open hands and play hands according to this table that I'm going to send you.
Alright. So I should like print them out. And
you can print it out if you have 2 monitors or just like a big monitor. You can just leave it on the side. But yeah, printing it out is totally fine too. Or like take a picture and like leave it on your phone if you're playing on your computer. And then just like one more thing. I did want to address like your questions about pocket pairs. So yeah, just lay it out for me. Like what do you feel confused? What do you currently do? Why do you feel like it doesn't work? Just tell me everything about it.
So I've basically from every position been playing really any pocket pair, which these ranges look like that's not the incorrect decision. But my problem is like as soon as the flop hits and someone bets into me, I have trouble differentiating if I'm playing, just as an extreme, like playing pocket 2s. If I have pocket 2s and the board comes like 6, 7, queen, rainbow, and the guy bets into me, and I feel like my range hits this board better than his, but I have very little equity with my pocket 2s.
Right.
I
agree with every
gray area situation.
Sure, I agree with everything that you said. I like how you like framed the hand, so that's good. Your range is definitely stronger. So what we have to do as like poker players is we have to figure out what his range is, and so if he's betting into you, I would guess he has something like a weak queen, or maybe like 6-7 where he has like back doors. But that's why I really like PokerTracker, because you can see how aggressive this person is on average. How often do they donk bet? But just to try to keep the answer simple, it's really just going to come down to, do we want to turn our 2s into a bluff? The answer is usually no. If someone bets into me, I might just muck it, to be honest. But if they are like a predictable player, and if I'm pretty sure on PokerTracker there's an actual stat for donk bet fold to raise, which is like very specific, but I'm pretty sure that there is a stat for that. So it's like some people will bet out because they just want to see where am I at, and they'll just give you credit for a raise and just fold. It's like you could have junk, but it's like, oh, he raised me, so he must have a better hand. So some players are that predictable, and that's where the exploitative play comes in. So it's not a clear decision about what you should do, which is why it's a gray area, right? It's not clear, but you have to base it on what you perceive the other player, their ranges, and also what you think that they will, how they will respond. Which I know that's like a kind of complicated answer, but what do you think about that?
So you're saying like those situations are a little less this is right or this is wrong, and more of the other player affects it. So how I feel the other player.
Absolutely.
I have a question that tack on like another area with the pocket pairs that I have trouble with is like what happens if the flop comes like, so if I have pocket 2s, the flop comes like 6-6 queen. So the board is paired. I have a pocket paired, so I don't have much, but on the event another 6 comes out or a 2. Yeah, I don't know where to draw the line as far as the implied odds go, things like that.
Yeah. That's a tough spot. So if we have the betting lead, so I'm just going to take you through my thought process. If we have the betting lead, so let's say we are in like under the gun +1 and big blind calls us and it's queen 6-6. If I think the big blind folds to this bet often, I will c-bet it. But if I know that they're sticky, what would I do if I know they're sticky? Well, even if, honestly, I would c-bet this at a very high rate because queen 6-6 is very disconnected. Like 7-8, like I think of it in terms of like ranges. So it's like you've got ace deuce, ace 3, ace 4, ace 5. All of these, all random aces missed except for ace queen, ace 6. All like 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, jack 10, all of those missed. So there is a very large range of hands that has just completely whiffed this board, whereas our range is still pretty strong. So even though our hand is only pocket 2s, in our opponent's head, we might have king queen, we might have aces, we could even have 6, 7. Like our range is like very undefined, which is great for us. So I would personally c-bet that flop a lot. But if for example we're out of position and someone else has the bet and you're talking about like implied odds, like, oh, do I call because I might be ahead? That it's just too difficult to play. It's just so many bad cards. I would personally never call a c-bet with deuces on that board.
So you would say with the betting lead, semi-bluff it, and without the betting lead, just knock it for the most part.
Yeah, like those small pocket pairs, because in terms of like equity, even if you do have the best hand, let's say they have jack 10 offsuit and they c-bet on this queen 6-6 and you have pocket 2s. I bet you the equity is like 50-50, but you're also out of position and you might be behind their actual hand. So, for example, let's say they have jack 10 and they c-bet. First of all, we have no clue if we're beat. We're just hoping we hit a deuce. That's literally all we hope for. And if they turn a king and they bet again, even though we still have the best hand, it's like their equity is probably still very high, and their range is still very strong. So it's like, I guess the easiest way to say what I'm saying is like, what turns are you hoping for when you call with pocket deuce? It's just like it's only a 2, and it's like every other card is potentially bad for us. So for that reason, I just muck it.
I guess that's because part of my line of thinking, like when I'm playing, is I'm like a 2 or a 6. But I guess with that logic, a 6, if they are paired, then the 6 would help them more than it helps me. All it does is
their range is way stronger than ours. Because they could be even like, if their c-bet rate is like anything over like 10%, which is everyone bets over. So it's like if he has any piece of the board, he's crushing pocket 2s. And so I just admit defeat on those, to be honest. It's just like, what am I going to do with deuces here?
Yeah, that helps me out because I feel like I've won a lot of money, but I've also lost even more money playing small pocket pairs as well.
Yeah. No, in those, so a general rule of thumb for like just getting, winning at poker is like, if you've got a weak range and it's a gray spot, just let it go, live to fight another day. That's my philosophy, and I think that's like probably like another thing that you should remember is like these weird gray spots with a bad range is just like, it's asking for trouble.
I don't know how much time you have as far as how much longer you
Well,
have.
yeah, if you have any more questions, I'll happily answer them. Yeah.
I have like two more questions, but
Yeah, it's totally fine. Whatever you want to know.
All right. Well, one is like another question like the pocket 2s is like pocket 10s. That's one I have trouble with, and then just a overall question of like, what line of thinking should I be taking at the beginning of each hand? So, like as far as that question, like I feel like right now I'm there. I'm like, all right, I know what position I'm in. This, that. I have a loose idea of ranges. I'm not very good at that yet, but as far as like if I'm in the button and he's in the big blind, I know my range is probably a lot stronger than his range. Or if I'm under the gun versus the big blind, my range is stronger than his range.
Right.
And then so I'm considering that, but like what lines of thinking should I be taking at each hand? Like,
So
because, you know, pot odds, applied odds, there's so much stuff that
yeah.
I feel like I don't even consider, like what should I be considering regularly and what shouldn't.
Yeah. So I guess let's lay out a clear situation. So let's say we have pocket tens under the gun, and we raise it, and everyone folds but the big blind. That sounds like the situation you kind of laid out there, right? I guess we can just use the same like sample board, queen 6-6. So our range, as you said, is much stronger than the big blind's range. So I am happy. Like I already said this, I c-bet queen 6-6 very often because it's so disconnected. But also because we have pocket tens, we don't want to see a jack, an ace, a king, a queen. Like, well, queen is fine, but like any card over our tens is like bad news for us, and we are happy. In my opinion, we're happy to take down the pot with a c-bet. That's my line of thinking, and oftentimes it's going to end there because the hand will be over. If he calls, we immediately know we're probably in trouble unless this is a particularly call-heavy player. But the average player, if they call here, they probably have a queen, and that's pretty much the end of my line of thinking. And then I'm probably just going to be checking down in position and try to get to the end and just hope that they called me with ace high. So that's like a very, very simple way to look at it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, sounds good. So just considering ranges and then
tendencies.
I do have a bad habit of like, let's say the roles are reversed. Somebody opens under the gun. I'm in the big blind. I call. They c-bet, and I have like, say king jack.
Same board.
I feel like I don't know if I should be, but I know because truthfully I'm always calling with king jack there.
That's a bad call, my friend.
Yeah, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, so yeah. I can 100% tell you that's a bad call, and if you stop doing that, you'll win more.
Right. So.
And so you should tell me why you call.
I think the reason I'm calling is because I know how I'm playing incorrect on the flip side, so I'm automatically assuming other people are incorrect. Like this is, I know I shouldn't be this. I know this is what I'm thinking in the moment.
Yeah.
So I would flat there and hope to see
a Broadway.
Yeah, some kind of Broadway straight open up.
Yeah.
But so. What should I be doing with that situation? Like I have a king jack, I have an open card.
So
I have a
sure. No, I mean honestly, your thought process isn't even wrong. Like if you do turn a decent card, then and king jack is fairly strong. It's it's one of the top unpaired hands. It's not even a horrible way of thinking, because it is going to beat a lot of their range, especially if they're a fairly loose player. The problem is the same problem we run into with pocket twos. It's like, even if we are ahead, what turn cards are we actually hoping for? It's like, even with a king, we're uncertain, because he could have ace king, he could have pocket queens, we could be dead. So this is I would categorize this again as a gray area with a weak range, which. What's that?
Like what you said, like just avoid those spots.
Yeah.
Gray areas.
Yep, and it's just like the only run out that we're happy about is king, or ace 10. But it's like those are so specific. Like the chances of that happening are like maybe 1% or something. But like the rest of the boards that might happen is losing for us, and we're just giving away money. So, like I said, King Jack is going to be ahead of a lot of their range, but it's just so bad out of position. You know what I mean? So just stop calling there altogether.
All right. Yeah. Noted.
Yeah.
So would you say that goes for any situation like that? If I'm playing ace 10 and the board comes out queen 6-6, would you say the same thing, or is it different because I have the ace? Or
it is. It's slightly different because obviously your range is, you're not your range, but your actual hand is slightly stronger, which is it's beating more hands. But I would say it's the same spot. You'd have to know a lot about the player to start calling down with ace high out of position. You'd have to know a lot about the player, and it's I think it's just the same position as the King Jack.
Yeah, that answers my question. Because I like see a hand and try to look it up or take like a poker cruncher and try to solve it, but I have a lot of difficulty realizing like that question right there, or like if King Jack would be if that would take the same line as ace 10 there.
Oh yeah, I mean it's absolutely in the same range of hands. It's like in terms of hand strength, the difference between King Jack and ace 10 there, it's only changing. I mean, I don't know the number of hands, but there's very few King X hands that are where it changes anything. So it's like King Jack is beating all King 10 and lower hands that are unpaired. All that the ace 10 does is it increases your range that you're beating very, very slightly. It does almost nothing. It's still unpaired and gray area. So it's still just, yeah.
I like see the ace and I'm like,
yeah, which is fun. I mean, that's, to be honest, it's just like, that's very normal. Like, that's how most poker players think who don't try to get better. But what we're doing is we're looking into the logic behind that decision and saying, well, we're looking beyond just the momentary thought process. The momentary thought process is, I've got an ace. He probably doesn't have a pair. That's a fine way to think. But if we go a few steps further into this hypothetical, we can see that like it's just such a bad spot. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like you're not wrong for thinking that way, but this is how you improve, is just by like thinking these situations a little bit deeper. Yeah. Okay. Any other like situations? Those are great questions, by the way. Like talking through those hands, this is absolutely how you get better.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, thanks for offering this up because I feel like I don't really have anybody else that's into poker, so being able to like ask questions and get responses is super helpful. Like,
dude,
I feel like I've
yeah,
gained a lot of information already.
I've been playing this game since like 2011, bro. Like off and on, granted off and on, but like I've got so much experience. Like,
I was drawn to your videos too because you talk a lot about like applicable stuff. Like I mean, I watch like Doug Polk or even Jonathan Little. Like some of the stuff he does is very like it's good information. I can tell it's good, but it's very hard to apply it directly.
Right.
Whereas like you talk about a lot of big picture stuff, and even the like more nitty gritty stuff you talk about is it seems it's like a lot more applicable to the limits I'm playing and improving my game. Like it's
well, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I've tried to do. I had the same problem. Well, it wasn't a problem because I do have experience, but it's like when I would watch like Doug Polk and stuff, it's like this is like top level stuff. It's like you'd have to be playing poker for a really long time for that to be useful. It's just like that's not the average poker player. So it's like that's what I'm trying to do is just like help people escape the micros and like just become a better player. So thank you for the compliment. Sure.
When it, like flush draw, just to make it sound make it simpler. Like let's say I have nut flush draw, or even like I make my flush by the river, and I have someone like there's a, let's say 6-6-6 queen 4 is the run out, and I have a flush, and the dude is still betting it.
You said it's trip 6 is on the board?
What?
So you're saying it's trip 6 is on the board.
Yeah, trip 6 is on the board, or let's say like a pair on the board, and
like ace 6, and he could have a lot of aces in his range, right? That's the point you're making.
Yeah, knowing when to fold my nut, or what looks to be a nut flush to a full house, because
yeah.
I feel like I've lost a lot of big pots to full houses when I had like a nut flush or like a king high flush or ace high flush.
Yeah. I mean that's a common spot, and it's a difficult spot. So, this is why I'm gonna try to teach you how to think more. Even like you have a basic understanding of ranges, but we're gonna try to get you a better understanding of ranges, because when people are betting, I guess the question you have to ask yourself is like, what do I think he's betting that he would bet this way, right? So he's bet all 3 streets. He's got a lot of aces in his range. What hands do I beat that he could be doing this with? And you have to just like answer that question critically. And the answer to that question is, if this guy is just an average player, he probably has a full house, and like your flush doesn't mean that much. And so I think you're running into this is the same process with same problem with your thought process that the King Jack idea had. It's like, emotionally you feel this is a strong hand, but if we look a little deeper and we look at what he might have, it just doesn't add up to call, right? But if you were playing emotionally, you're like, oh, I have a flush, I feel like I completed my hand and I feel like I should call. But in reality, that's not what's going on. What he's trying to tell you with his betting pattern is he probably has a full house. So, yeah.
So you would say most likely, or most of the time, I'm folding in that spot like that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think about like how the hand would play through. So if the board comes like ace 6, he has a lot of aces in his range. Yeah, I mean, I think it's too complicated to just like talk it out with you because you don't have the experience. But basically I would say, if someone's betting all the way down and they're not a maniac, you just have to give them credit, and you probably shouldn't be chasing a flush draw versus someone who doesn't bluff a lot anyway, because it's like, even if you hit your flush, are you that happy about it? No. Now I'll give you the inverse of that. So when should we chase things against certain players? Let's say I have a guy who his pre-flop open rate is like 10%, so he's only opening premiums. That is a great time to start chasing flushes, because these are the type of players who can't get away from aces. That's a great time to go set mining, call him with deuces, try to flop a deuce. But those are good times to be chasing, but the bad time to be chasing is when someone has a strong range and we're just chasing a flush that might not even be good. So I guess the simple answer to your question is you probably shouldn't be chasing a flush in the first place, to be honest. And yeah, if he's betting all the way down and he's not a maniac, he probably just has a full house, and that's what I would say.
So just avoid that point at all.
Well, real quick, I do want to interrupt. I'm not going to say avoid it altogether, because the way we get better is by understanding why we're doing what we're doing. So, don't avoid it altogether, but just think critically. It's like, what kind of player am I playing against? Am I gonna bluff? That's like a whole nother element of like representing ranges and all. Well, okay, I don't want to like start talking too much bullshit, but if you don't have a plan moving forward and you're just praying that you hit your flush, that's not a winning strategy. So you have to like think about it. Don't just avoid it. That's all I wanted to say.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that's a lot of good info already.
All right. Well, I'm glad to help, and yeah. So I guess all I'll say is we can shoot again for next Saturday, if that works for you.
Yeah, like around the same time next Saturday.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make a note. Opening. So what I want you to do is exactly what I said, which is keep the opening ranges. So there's a lot of stuff to work on, but it looks like you've been taking notes, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 things to work on. One of them is opening ranges, which I'm going to send you that file, and I want you to play according to that, which means like you're never calling decent hands under the gun. Like you're always going to be opening. So that the first point is we're going to work on your opening ranges, and then the second point is we are going to call a lot less, especially out of position, which basically encapsulates the last few hands we've talked about. So it's like the king jack hand, the flush hand. It can be nested under this idea of you're calling too much out of position. Yeah.
Alright, so just narrowing down, not necessarily narrowing down, but defining my opening ranges with that.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely stuff I can implement.
Right. Yeah. Perfect, man. Well, I do appreciate you reaching out. Thanks for watching my videos. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for putting out good content.
All right. Well, all right. You do that stuff. I'll send you that email, and we'll be in touch about next week.
All right. Sweet. Well, thanks, man.
All right. No problem. See ya.